Good afternoon, everyone in Boston. Good afternoon, everyone in in the United States, and good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're watching us from the rest of the world. No rest for the wicked and no rest for the people who are super curious. That's why I'm back again with this show called Uganda Crossroads, airing on Campfire TV. We're so glad that you guys have continued to keep with us and stay with us throughout the rest of the whole day as the shows that were earlier on were airing. Thank you for showing us so much love. Please continue to share the page and show us your support by liking and following the show, and call people to come and watch with you. Share this, start a watch party if you have to, because Facebook does that nowadays. But this is Uganda at Crossroads. We know you guys have been so curious about so many things that have been happening in Uganda this last week. Again, with the recent news and tragedy that has happened, we do send our sincere condolences to everyone who has been going through a tough time in regards to the loss of their loved ones who died on the boat on Lake Victoria earlier on in this week. We do apologize for anything that has happened with the news that has been spreading around and stuff like that. But we are sorry to hear of what happened, and we are really I brought a few people online on board to see if we can talk about what happened, see if we can make light of what has been happening in the last few days. There's so many things that have been said, and I'm curious to know what is truth, what is what are lies, and what is fact. That's why I have my resident the resident host that I always have every single day. I have Sarah Bakanansa. You guys have always had a chance of watching her. You guys love her. We have Hillary, who's super intelligent, global activist for whatever is happening in Africa. And we do have another guest on joining us today in the studio. So we know you guys have continued saying that the show is uneven, given the chance that Hillary is a people power person and Sarah is also people power. They demonstrate a lot for that mentality, and they are 100% in. So we wanted to give a chance to anyone who represents NRM or UPDF, not UPDF, no, anyone who represents FDC or any of the other political parties in Uganda. If they have something to say or they have some facts to share with us, they should come to the show. So today we are very, very honored to have someone who represents NRM, someone who's really happy in being in that political party, and we brought him on board so that he can clear the air a little bit, talk to us and tell us what he likes about it. What is it that NRM has done that has continued to have him stay where he is, stay rooted in his beliefs, and continue to support it as it continues to rule. Again, I'm going to give him a chance to say hello, so just in the next few minutes. Hello, thank you so much for honoring our invitation. We're happy to have you, so please take a moment to introduce yourself and tell us in what way you're talking to us today.
All right. My name is Tony Chinalwa. I reside in Waltham. I'm happy to be on this show today. And I'm glad that we're going to talk about our country, which is very important to us, though we're in the US, but still we have a heart at home. And basically we want to share everything that we have in our minds with you guys out there, wherever you are. Thank you very much.
All right. As you guys already know, Sarah and Hillary, so I'm not going to give them a chance to introduce themselves, but I'm just going to jump into just have this conversation going, because we only have him for a short limited time, so I want to just pick his mind before he goes. So Tony, you represent NRM. How long have you been in an NRM activist?
I think since 86, since this regime came, I am NRM, because I started following political issues back home when I was still a kid, and I started with NRM. And I can see it is still working for me.
Okay, I'm going to ask my production team just to add your volume a little bit so that we can all hear you. As you, we're in America, the ruling party right now is Republicans, right? So all of us know that fact. All of us respect that fact. Some of us are not happy about it, but we respect whatever decisions are made by them. And as any political party that's ruling, anything that goes wrong in the city, in the country, anything that happens, we always blame the ruling party. So I don't want to hit on NRM. I'm not. I don't hate any political party. I am all for everything. But I'm curious. So many things have been happening in Uganda that so many people are not happy about. Again, if people are unhappy, they're going to blame the ruling party, which means you're going to have a lot of backlash. So, as an NRM activist or member, what do you think NRM has done good for the country in the last few years? So, walk me through 2017. What do you think NRM has achieved in the last few months?
Like to start with what you said, that so many things happened and people are not happy about what was happening. And I want to clarify on this, that so many good things have happened in the country, but because people don't take a note of realizing what is going on, they always look at the bad side of the government or bad things that happens. Everywhere bad things happen, but still have to appreciate the good things. My party has been able to make Ugandans work like the way we work in America.
I'm going to ask you to speak up a little bit because I'm not hearing you.
Okay. People back home are working very hard, and this party of mine have helped them to know how to work, to know how to manage the businesses, to know how to make friends across the board, across the world. This party has helped everybody, like the teenager, the teenage age, the youth, the older people. Everybody is working today, which was not a take.
I think they were working prior to, being there, or Bote being their president. All of them were working. Give me examples. I want concrete facts that show me that this is working.
Sure. That's where I was going, because like you say about Bote regime, women were left behind. Today we see all women are working. In the industry of working, taking care of their families, despite some differences that come along their way, but still the working, the flying all over the world. They used to be in the kitchen cooking. Men were the only people that are traveling all over. Now, if you come only here, we live in Waltham. Women outnumber the men because they got a chance. This NRM have given them a chance. Women, if you go to Kampala in the city, if you look all over the city, it is covered by women working, which was not the take by your body or his regime. This is wonderful today.
I'm going to give a chance to one of these guys to take it. Who wants to go first? Hillary, I see you sitting there comfortably, but you're dying to ask a question. So I'm going to give you a chance to ask him what you have to say, and then we'll give Sarah a chance on that.
All right, maybe before I ask a question to my comrade Tony, I would like to, first of all, remind all the viewers today, being 1st of December, it's called the World AIDS Day. We are there standing in solidarity with our brothers and sisters who have died in this epidemic of HIV/AIDS, and also we want to stand in solidarity with all those who are carrying this virus to ensure that they have access to health facilities, to medication, and also to ensure that those who want positive living, they live happier lives. Back to the point of Tony. Well, he has given lots of insights about, the so-called achievements of this government of NRM. But Tony, I would like to tell you that with this leadership of Mr. Museveni, we see that for 32 years being in office, since 1986, if you say that Ugandans, you've talked about women coming to the US or going to the diaspora, that's the achievement of NRM, then that raises lots of eyebrows. Because ask yourself a question like, why are these Ugandans leaving our country? Are they economic immigrants? Are they political asylum seekers? Or they are doing, jobs? They've gone to do like, to work as experts in foreign countries. So for you saying that women who are in, let's be specific, Boston, saying that they came here because of NRM being in power, I think that's not an achievement, that's a failure. Majority of Ugandans are here or they're in diaspora simply because of the failed working system of this regime of dictator General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. So if you're talking about, the value of our currency years ago, because you're talking about Obote, let's talk about Obote 1, Obote 2, or Amin, 1971, 1979. Our currency, the Ugandan currency, was weighing a lot of value. In 1996, if you had, like a 500 note, you could, buy lots of valuable things. But today, tell me, in 500 shillings, because it's a coin now, what can you buy today? Today, we are looking at mothers who are dying in the hospitals. 12 are dying every day while giving birth. And you are saying women are empowered in our country. A mother of a nation is dying every day. Like 12 of them, we're losing 12 of them every day while giving birth. Because there are no health facilities. And the services are very poor. If you're talking about Health Center 1, Health Center 2, or Health Center 3, or Health Center 5, there are no medications. If you look at the National Drug Authority, they're complaining each and every day that the drugs that are in the hospitals are meant to be supplied to our patients, to our mothers, or the women you're talking about. They're not being delivered at the hospitals. So only a few groups of people who are affiliated with the government, they are reselling them. So today we procure drugs from India, and there are some people who are reselling them from Uganda to Kenya, to Sudan. And our mothers are suffering. Look at how many girls are suffering in the Gulf countries or in the Middle East. I'm sure beyond doubt you've been, watching these audio tapes or video tapes on social media.
Because that's a point I do want to touch on next.
Girls are crying a lot. They are being exploited. They engage into, sexual exploitation. They engage into prostitution. They are being promised jobs, white-collar jobs, before they leave our country. By the time they land into countries like Qatar or United Arab Emirates or Bahrain, then they are turned into domestic workers. Imagine you went to university, you have a degree in psychology, you have a degree in international business, you have a degree in medicine, and you are promised a job that you studied for at the university, but reaching the Gulf countries, they are turning you into a nanny. So what kind of empowerment is this? Let's look at our executive, because you are saying that women are empowered. Look at our executive. Look at the ratio of men to women. What's our ratio? It's less than 35%. So is that gender equality? Look at our parliament today, because if you're talking about gender equality, I would refer you to examples like Rwanda, because today Rwanda is setting the best example of gender equality in parliament, because women are fully represented. It's about 55% of the women in their legislature. If you go to countries like Ethiopia, you're going to see also those achievements of women empowerment. But today, look at women. How many women are being, denied a chance of engaging into political activities?
So I'm going to give him a chance to
Just a moment, because there's so many questions coming, and I'm
he forgets sometimes. He gets excited and then he forgets. So let's see.
Like to say, let me start with the parliament issue. My friend, for the parliament cake, it is not that Mr. Museveni or my president is the one who's going to bring the gender balance to bring men and women in the parliament. That one depends on the people on the ground. If they value men most, Museveni has nothing to do with that. It is the people in the constituency to value who's going to cater for them for their cake. So that one, don't blame it on my government. It is on the people down the village.
Can I interject?
Just a moment.
No, hold on.
Let me first cover some of it, because there were so many. I mean, for the empowerment, as we talk today, this government has given women so many chances. We had specials, Mama specials. Wandera was a vice president. We have Mama Kadaga. She's the speaker of the parliament. We have in the IGG, The IGG is also a lady. I mean, prominent posts have been given to women. That's just enough, like, to justify for you with the regimes we are talking about, that women, where's the gender balance? Okay, for this regime, at least you should appreciate for the balance at least they have put on the table. And again, for being that, like you say, people are coming here for political reasons or whatever, they come here for the economic or whatever, migrants and so forth. I mean, this country, not only this country, but people got opportunities all over the world. Wherever you see an opportunity, don't just bind yourself just in one place. You have to use your mind to find your green pasture, whether it is in Uganda, whether it is in Rwanda. People who are back home, they're enjoying. Those who are enjoying are enjoying. Even here in America, where we are, especially here in Waltham, we have failures. Yet they are in America. They are here. They live with us. The opportunities of working are there, but they're still failures. They are failed to do anything. The same applies back home. So it depends where your mind is setting you to go. You have to use your values to know what you want. The people that, I'm sorry to say, sorry you guys, and I mean, it's going to affect you, but for the guys that died on the boat, the life they were enjoying is just because of this regime. It has put like peace in the country. It has put people to work and get money and get life and start enjoying their valuable life. If you look at the context of these big seasons we have in the country, from this time, people are going to start flying back home. Why do you think they're going back home? If really back home is a disaster, all over the world, people gonna go to Uganda in multiple numbers to enjoy. You go in here to enjoy. It means you go where there is peace, where there is security, where you feel comfortable, where you feel like, yes, this is life. We come here to work. But if it comes to terms of being in a paradise, it is Uganda. December, everybody flies to Uganda. That's a paradise. There is peace. You can walk at any time.
I'm gonna give Sarah a chance to ask any question that she has towards Tony. Then Tony can interject, and then we can start all over again. Sarah, is there anything you want to say to whatever he's saying? Because he's saying that people are only He's saying that people are going back to Uganda because it's a paradise. But I think what he wanted to ask was the employment level. If the employment level is so good, why are more people coming, running away? Because it's not going because there's opportunities abroad. They're more like running away because they need to survive. They need to survive. So that's the reason why. I think that's why generally that's what he was saying. In amidst all that he said a lot. So, but I got that fact that jobs are not there. That this current government is not creating enough opportunities or resources for people to want to stay in their own country, or even giving them the chance to innovate something or make some good use of whatever is there. So that's I think what's mainly wanted to touch on.
Just a little chance to answer that before you go to Madam Sarah. I think that is not running away. It is kind of widen your mind where you can do better. This is not just a character. This is not just a character of that whoever flies out of the country is running away. That's not running away. It's not true. It is widening up your mind to say that, okay, if I go here or I go there, even here, they are still creating jobs. So the country Uganda is still creating jobs, but it is not like he said since 86 this government has stayed in power. Is that what we're celebrating that we achieved this? Listen, this country, when my president came to power, he found it in a ditch. He used it like a kind of 15 years to put it out where it was. It wasn't easy in those days to start a government where it had no platform. He had to first put a platform for those people, for the government to start running. It took him like 15 years to make friends across the board, across the world, that are gonna help him out.
I do have to disagree with some of the things that you're saying, but I'm gonna give a chance to Sarah to just talk, because I'm seeing you're almost jumping out of your seat. So Sarah, please say something, and then we can continue with.
You see, it's always very disappointing when I sit next to people who support the NRM government and they cannot even explain the achievements. I listened from where he started from, and he was talking about, Museveni has taught women this. It looked like it looks like the government is an NGO or a small company that teaches people public relations or people know how to communicate. It didn't make sense. And then you talk about when you go on and you defend the government on creating employment, you yourself, you're abroad. If really, really there were so jobs in Uganda and you are an NRM staunch supporter, you should be having a job in government. Why are you here? So when you see people, we've seen so many cases of young girls, people who are graduates, people end up in Arab countries. You see how many deaths are happening in Arab countries. Sure. Young girls, graduates, they are being turned into maids, and they are being raped on a daily basis. Why are they going away? There should be enough jobs to accommodate. Because in Uganda, being educated is as useless as not being educated. True. Because you who has a university degree and you who never went to school, you all end up in Middle East and you're maids. So even the person who is uneducated is laughing at you. Why did you waste your time at school when you're going to be a maid at the same time? So for you to defend the government and say, oh, it has done this and this, she raised something to you and said, can you give me, okay, let's not even go into the 33 years. Just let's talk about the achievement. Let's speak from 2017. You cannot even give one. But you're talking about security in Uganda. When Chirumira has just been killed, he was murdered not late in the night, just at early evenings, about 7-something. He's gunned down. What happened to Abiriga? We've watched from the beginning of this year murders on Entebbe Road. Women were being raped and murdered. Who is killing these people? And you're talking about Uganda is safe. You see men walking on the street. You saw what happened to Yusuf being kidnapped in broad daylight. And you talk about Uganda is safe. I have a friend of mine who left. She was in Denmark. She went for holiday in Uganda. And she almost got killed because someone was grabbing her phone. She was resisting the phone. The guy threw her in a ditch and she broke her leg. Uganda is safe. Uganda is not safe. Even those in Uganda are not safe. Every time I want to talk, people they are being told every day, you know what? Be your number one, provide your own security. Be your number one provider of your own security. Uganda is not safe. So many joblessness, so many insecurities. Why, if Uganda is safe, why is the president putting up cameras? If Uganda is safe. So when you talk about achievements of the NRM and you start, covering up, talking about the failures as achievements, then you make some of us here look like we do not know the Uganda you're talking about.
Yeah. So she's...
May I have a take on that?
Let me finish up because you said so many things. You raised, apart from jobs, you raised about women, you talked about women emancipation, or women have been given positions and all that. How many women have been given positions? How many women are serving in government? If you're talking about women being given opportunities, and on top of that, you went and jumped to something else and said, oh, it is entirely up to women if people are not going to vote them. But if you have a government where even people don't feel they are worthy of taking up positions, now it's only women who are aggressive that are going to take up political position in every sphere of politics, whatever you call it. So when you start defending government, at least I would expect you maybe to talk about things that are maybe tangible. But when you start talking about things we know that have completely failed, you talk about Ugandans living abroad, flying back home. Yes, people have their families, but people are now more vigilant. Some people are not even flying back home because they know it is tough. And some people live abroad, and people even live abroad and fear talking about the situation in Uganda because they will be arrested. I have a situation, I've been engaging with someone. This guy he was in England. He went to Uganda for a holiday, and his father's been looking for him for 2 months. He's been much in the barracks. He was found on the streets walking with friends, and they asked him for his national ID. He didn't have it because he doesn't live in Uganda. The boy was found in Machinde. He has been in Machinde for 2 months on charges of treason. He left UK to go and enjoy Uganda, as you call it, and he ended up being arrested. He's now on charges of treason. He cannot even explain. The family it has taken them 2 months to find where he is. So you're talking of Uganda being safe. It is so absurd when we sit, at least accept that the security is really bad in Uganda, but don't sit here and speak to people all over the world watching this that Uganda is safe when we know very well that things are really bad. Unless you have to provide your own security. It's not secure. Because who are you if Kirumira can be gunned down? Who are you?
Have a take on that.
Sure. So she's mentioning security, and you mentioned all these good things. I'm gonna in answering to her question. I want you to just give me explain to me in detail what you think is wrong with the ruling party today, because as I told you, the ruling party is going to get the blame for anything bad happening in the country. And it's not us trying to be bad or saying all these things, but you are the one we're going to run to and say, this is not happening, we're not getting this, what is going on? And since you are representing NRM is going to get that tongue lash from the rest of the world. So in correspondence, what you're going to reply to her, add on and tell me, what do you think NRM is failing in? Because you know the answers. You know where you yourself are falling short. So if you're responding to both him and Hillary and Sarah, give me those examples where you feel like NRM is really not providing what they should.
Okay. It's like you are pushing it to me to accept that my government is failing.
I don't want to accept, but I want to also, because
my government is not
acknowledge
failing.
that other parties are also in shortage. Because if FDC came, we still tell them, hey, you know, People Power is doing something, NRM is doing something, what are you doing?
I understand. I'm trying to answer back. But my sister here, she said that, why am I in America? Why not I have a job in my country? Listen, we come here on different platforms. For me, I was a barber in my country. I was having a barber shop on Uganda Road. The barber shop was mine. I got a chance from one of these guys asking me, Tony, would you love to go work where you can get money in dollars or whatever? I said,
did you come as an expatriate?
Just a second. Hold on. Hold the fire. I gave you a chance. Please. Since I came to America, it is the same job. The job I was doing back home is still the same job I'm doing for, it is now 10 years. I'm doing the same job. Listen, it was not in order for me to go to the government and ask, I want a job. No, this government gave us a chance so that we can start our own businesses. I'm one of the guys that was hiring like 10 people in my barber shop.
But they are jobless now. You ran away.
No. The barber shops are still running. I just sold them because the entire family of mine came to America, and I sold the barber shop to them. The barber shops are still running. Go to Uganda Road and see Quick Barber Salon and Care Kids Beauty Parlor. Both of them on the same building. They are still there running. I mean, so going to the point, because that was kind of personal life, but going to the point of development or achievements. And this is very young. We opened Entebbe Express Highway. We opened let me
okay, I'm so sorry. Yes, go right ahead.
We have this at the dam where we opened the bridge, where we opened the bridge. We have just opened it. Listen to the Catholic whatever shrine in Namgongo. That one is an achievement. That is a place where 4 million people can sit at one time and enjoy their tech. No place in Africa has a place where people can gather and sit with peace, with nice environment. Go to Namgonga and see. That place is amazing. You may think you are not even in Africa. That place is amazing. It is in this regime. The dams we have put down today, you can talk about being the price of power is still high, the rate is still high, but we have enough power. We have extra 1,200 megawatts in excess. Those are extra. Just the only thing you can talk about is why is the price not going down?
It's 2018. Why is there still load shedding in 2018? If you have extra more dams that are being...
I understand. I agree. We still have some parts where we can go. Shortages come due to some environment that the things change or whatever. But it doesn't mean that we don't have extra megawatts on the side.
Okay.
That one is just like some minor stuff that may come along your way. Even in families, we have speed bumps and whatever. Speed bumps are there, like to control. I mean, again, to the point of where she's saying there is no security, there is no what, people are arrested. They arrest people everywhere. If you become to be a bad person,
No, I want you to listen. The last few weeks, the last few months, actually the last 6 months, the rate at which crime is happening is higher than the last 2 years combined. The number of people who actually have guns, who own guns, illegal guns, because guns we don't even have the registration, has tripled. The fact that you can see a taxi person, thugs come out in a taxi that is unmarked, unregistered, and kick somebody or beat somebody in broad daylight. You're going to tell me that the person they beat to that degree is because they did something wrong? Why didn't they just arrest him peacefully, walk him into a car and take him? So I want you to, when you're explaining, give me some good, because I'm also going to hold you accountable for telling me things that are not adding up.
Let me have a take on what you've just said. My dear
something
friend,
before
I mean,
he
that
answers
is
us?
just an incident which happened. Things, like I said, things happen. Some people may do things on their own, like you say, illegal guns and whatever. Even here we have some people having illegal guns. We're in America, where everything is possible, that they can trace with whatever, but it still bypass. Then in a country like Uganda, if they can bypass over here, my sister said, because if there is security, why are they bringing cameras? That's an achievement. America, we have cameras.
How many cameras work though?
That is another question.
None.
But I was asking. No,
None works.
No, you are not there, my sister. Don't say none. These cameras have just been assembled in the city. You haven't gone back home. It is just like kind of 2 months away.
The cameras you're talking about, as by yesterday, the panels where the cameras that were put up have been stolen. There is a gentleman who was arrested and is at the police station right now for stealing, and he had the panels where the cameras were elevated.
That is still, how was he captured? If the system is not working, how was he captured?
How are they going to work when they are being stolen away?
Already you said yourself that he was captured.
No,
the system is working.
So how many are they gonna steal away for you to know that? Because if they've started with one, the rest are going to go away.
Why do you just assume that the rest are going to go
No,
away?
because
Yet the
you've
one
just
who,
put them up less than a month.
Let me answer your question. The person who first saw the one you were talking about, you yourself said was arrested. And now you are telling me, now how many are going to be stolen? Already the first catch, we catch him. The first one, the pioneer of it.
I can't be sure if it was the first one.
But you you are the one who
No,
said it.
I know.
Okay, we're going back
I'm
and forth
speaking
on
from what I
just
saw on
something.
TV.
You answered the second part of my, how you yourself have been in NRM for a number of years. How you have not achieved that much, because we should not be, the way I hear anyone who comes from NRM is they're describing, at least, this is your favorite word, at least now we have power. At least now we have gotten somewhere. At least now, I want to hear, we have this. We have this, we have achieved
There is
this.
no way you're
But
going to
everything
go
is
and
on
have
the,
100%.
So, okay, answer me my question. What are your shortcomings? What is NRM? What has NRM failed to do today that is making Ugandans more vocal than ever? More vocal in the last 33 years that NRM has ruled. You know your own shortcoming, just like you know your own, you say, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at this, at least I'll say it out loud. You are in an NRM right now. You see the bad, you see the good, you see the ugly. What are you failing at? As a NRM member, as NRM itself, what are you failing at?
I don't in a position of seeing what am I failing, like to put in the progress, because what I see in the education industry, we have so many universities today, we have so many private schools today, we have so many kids that are going to school. At least, how can you say, my favorite word was at least. At least these guys today, they can go all over the world and be able to read and write. As we are approaching the generation whereby everything is going to be computerized, this government has helped all the children of Uganda to know the first tech of the system of a computer. Because the smartphones we have in the country are computers. Everywhere you go now, all people are on WhatsApp. All people are on Facebook. That is an eye-opener. Because
many
for
Ugandans,
those things
I'm
to
going to
be-
give
to
Hillary
be-
a chance to say something in regards to your response.
Yes. Our comrade Tony has said lots of things, but I think it's just giving a virtual image of our country. It's not giving us the reality that is happening in our country.
That's the reality.
So I think you're very distanced from the facts on the ground, because all the things you're talking about are not true. And for your point of information, Comrade Tony, I want to tell you that absence of war does not mean peace. So if you're talking about the liberation war that brought you in power from 1985, when you're overthrowing the past regime, that you brought peace. And yet we had also a civil war that was generated by your government, led by General Museveni and his colleague Konyi. That was instability. So I think you think that after it came to the end of the civil war, you think that Uganda is now peaceful. But peace is beyond absence of war. If you do not have money in your pockets, that's not peace. I can tell you that very many Ugandans today are feeding on 1 meal per day. 1 meal per day. You've not gone, in remote areas. Go to Nanakapiripiriti, go to Pakwach, go to Ibanda, go to Usembatia, go to Bududi, or go to Iganga. You're going to see the level at which Ugandans are suffering. Today, if you talk about peace, then we want to see, is there sustainable consumption of food within our population of Ugandans? Because you are talking about also the quality of education. But I can assure you that with the universal primary education program, each child on that program, the government gives him only 22 cents. 22 cents. So convert 22 cents to Ugandan shillings. How much is that? Per term. So tell me, if a child is going to school and is feeding on, and is going to school, is sitting in class on an empty stomach, how is this child going to learn? If a child has to walk 10 miles to access an education, how is that peace? Which peace is that you're talking about? If a child is dropping out of school because of poverty, the parent can't afford the cost of tuition, the parent can't afford to buy a uniform, is that peace in our country? If a mother is sleeping on the floor in the hospital, in Mulago Hospital, is that peace? If Mulago Hospital is asking for 50,000 from a poor Ugandan as consultation fee, a Ugandan who gets 50,000 in 3 months, where is that peace that you're talking about? If you say that today we are, going to diaspora, I can tell you that that's the effect of globalization. It has nothing to do with Museveni. So globalization opened up borders. So whether the government likes it or not, people have to move. So do not give that as an achievement to Mr. Museveni. Okay. As global citizens, we can move to any part of the world. So long as you have a very clean record, and no country will block you from traveling to any part of the world you want.
I'm going to give him a chance to speak, and then he's going to...
He was talking about lots of issues, but again, I think...
So let me give him a chance to answer, then we can interject back and forth.
There are some of these issues I wanted to address. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a chance to say, and then we're going to be able to excuse you in the next 5 minutes. So in response to what both of them are saying, give your last remarks, and then we can continue on with the rest.
Yes, at least my brother here have helped me by accepting that the global world, the global borders are opened. As long as you don't have records, you can fly anywhere, you can go anywhere.
I think what he said is that cannot be correct. That cannot be put on NRM. It was going to happen regardless of Museveni.
Those are the effects of globalization.
Let me answer.
So Museveni has
let me answer. This government has put it clear to everybody. If you want to know that there are governments that can block what you call a global opening, go to North Korea. Even Facebook is not there. Go to China. They have limitation on Facebook and WhatsApp. So for me to say it is an achievement, there are countries where you cannot access it the way you want it.
We're trying to mix oranges and apples here. If you can stick to one point at a go.
Let me give me a chance. I always keep quiet and let you go. Let me also flow. Because even, like I was saying, now you're getting me to go lost. I mean, to lose my point. You said that the kids are surviving. No, the government is putting 22 cents for them. That it is not enough. I used the word that this government has helped as we are approaching the computerization system in the world. This government has helped the little ones of the poor people to have a take on a computer system so that they may.
It's
don't
2018.
Say no
are we at the level that we should be in regards to computerization?
Okay.
It's 2018.
I understand. Even here in America, not everything is like a wow.
But in regards to Rwanda,
no, don't compare Uganda to Rwanda.
I have to because you attained. I have to because that's the closest country that we can use for the level of success.
Let me answer that one. Only that one because time is running out for me. Let me answer that one. You are everybody is using Rwanda as criteria. Rwanda is only 7 million people. It has a border which you can cover in just a single day, border to border. I have ever been to Rwanda several times. I have ever been to Tanzania. If you want to compare Kenya, compare Tanzania, compare Zimbabwe, compare Zambia. All those countries have been there. I know where I know their tech and I know our tech. But if you bring Rwanda, a small country like that one, which you can cover in a single day, our only guru Kampala.
Let's go to Sudan. Let's go to Sudan or Nigeria.
Mr. Tony, Rwanda's just come out of war. As you're bringing your comparison, Rwanda's just come out of war.
Help me, I get my take also.
Okay, finish up.
Give them a chance. Like our only main road from Kampala to Guru can cover the total roads in Rwanda.
Our main what? I'm sorry.
Our main highway from Kampala to Guru can cover the total highways of Rwanda.
You mean the one that has potholes, no lights, can only accommodate two lanes, that same highway?
My friend, have you ever been to Rwanda?
I have been to Rwanda.
Okay. Have you ever been to?
So how are we failing to meet this? It's a small country. How are we failing? Because we're not meeting even at the same.
No,
we're not even beating that small country.
We have so many roads that have been improved in a manner that we have them to stay.
Okay.
We have. We all watched the Abiriga situation in Arua. Go back and look at their roads on the surface of the images, and you can't find a road which was having pitfalls and whatever. They were smart roads because they were moving all over the streets with the border of Abiriga. They were moving all over. My eyes were just to see what is going on by their roads. They have smart roads. Where you say people are not accessing good roads, for me I saw good roads over there. So that means that Uganda is getting better from where it was before.
You're saying we're getting better, but we are in debt. We're in debt just for building.
Even the US is in debt. US has a debt of $5 trillion.
But at least they have four lane highways here. I can at least say that debt there's a reason to actually go for that. But Uganda, the things we're in debt for are useless. There's no reason why we should be in debt
when
for a highway when there are no lights. People are dying of overspeeding. Can you overspeed where there is pitfalls and whatever? You overspeed on a road which is really smart.
So, Tony, accidents are happening on the roads because of the poor quality cars you bring in Uganda. In Uganda, I'm telling you, in Uganda right now to import a new car, you're going to pay 10 times the taxes. So people end up for junk, rotten cars that are not even be allowed on roads in other countries. That's what is happening. And two, accidents are happening because of the traffic police that has mastered the game of taking bribes. if you're drinking and you can drink and drive, you can do anything on the road so long as you have chintu chidogo. That's why accidents are happening. Accidents are happening because people are having fake driving permits. The government has failed to control the driving permits that are coming out. Accidents are happening because people are not trained on driving what cars and which cars. So that's why they're happening. That means the government has failed.
The government now is putting high taxes because everything in Uganda, you guys are politicalized. I mean, you put it in a political format. The government now is putting high taxes on all the cars so that you guys can bring in better cars. That one, it became a political issue.
They are putting high taxes
because
on
they
new
want
cars.
To ban, they want to ban those old cars.
No, they are putting high taxes on new.
All the cars, even now they are put a limit.
Why don't you take away taxes or reduce taxes on new cars? Do you know how much it means for? How many people in Uganda have cars that are 2017 model? How many? How many are 2017 model cars in Uganda?
17, my dear friend.
No.
You bring things which are in.
No, I'm asking
which
you.
Are not. Let me answer that of the cars we're talking of 2017. Even here was still driving 2007.
Which is okay. How many people in Uganda drive 2017
They are
models?
there.
How many? How many
Don't
cars
say
do you
how
have
many,
there?
because even here we have those ones of 1990. People are still driving them. People are still driving the Chikumis. This Corolla called the Chikumis.
But,
We have them in
let me
our
ask you one thing,
community.
Tony. Have you seen, are there rapid cars on the streets of America? The junk road driving on the streets of America?
That's why they take them. I'm answering. That's why they take them for inspection, because some of them become junk.
Who inspects are cars in Uganda inspected?
That is another question. Let
No.
me finish this
It's
one. Before I
the
answer
same
this
question.
one, you bring another
No,
question.
because it's the same question. You've said old cars here 1990 are still being driven. Yes, I will accept it is okay. But every year in America, cars are inspected. You cannot have a car that is not inspected with a sticker on the road. Are cars in Uganda being inspected?
That is why now the government is putting taxes on all the cars so that people can stop bringing all the cars to our country. We're also tired of junk.
You didn't answer my question.
I'm
Are cars
answering
in
it.
Uganda being inspected?
They do. They do.
Are cars in Uganda being inspected?
Of recently, you people, you were saying the machine which is doing inspection is a junk machine. The reason is because you love politics so much rather than knowing knowing the reality which is on the ground.
No,
But
because
everything
you're
in
lying.
Uganda, but anything in Uganda right now runs on politics, because people who are in politics are the ones running everything in Uganda. They're running the markets, they're running the jobs, they're running everything. So of course it has to be politicized. Everything has to be politicized.
But as you politicize, you should also understand that what you are politicizing is what you are working on. For the hospitals, like this brother of mine said, women are dying everywhere. We have put all 3 health centers all over Uganda.
All over.
The only thing you can complain about, because there are some things I can say we're 100%. Like I said, the country is still growing. Already the facilities are there, but the medication may be in some hospitals still missing. That's what the government is going to work on it, because it could not take everything at once. You first put a house before you buy chairs. You first lay the ground for you to construct a house. Already the ground is laid. We have civil health centers all over the country.
They are
now.
not functioning.
We have people saying that
That's why I say we are now in
someone in Chiludu about a month ago lost their life because the oxygen they were on, the tank got finished, and the whole Chiludu hospital didn't have a tank to replace what he was using.
All right, so I'm gonna read your comments while we allow our guests to go, and then I'm gonna have my two resident guests to answer some of the questions that you guys might have. So Tony, thank you for just taking the time and just coming to talk about what NRM has done and what NRM is hoping to do in the next few days or in the next future. We haven't had a chance to talk to you about the future of NRM, but maybe hopefully in the next few weeks or months, whenever you are able to, gratify our invitation. So thank you so much for coming on the show and just giving us some of your time. I am going to go ahead and read some of your comments. I apologize, some of you guys, I wasn't able to get to you in time. So I'm just going to read a few of them and acknowledge a few people. I apologize. So we do have DJ Jemoka Sengo is watching. Thank you. I did see a few of your comments. We do have Kalunji just saying, why tax what you've never invented? You're charging poor people tax on free product is thievery. We have Bats Bate saying, it seems like Tony, you have also been paid. And then we also have a few people saying, all is well. Katabara is saying, thank you, Sarah. We're very proud of you. Bats is saying, US is in debts of which they are paying. So for us, they're negligent fools in Uganda who are stealing money. So he wonders why you go to your analysis. Guys, please share the page, talk to somebody or invite some other person who you think is going to be able to, add to this conversation. We know a lot is happening. The quality of the roads is very poor. That's what Brian Kazi was saying. Then we have Maggie Lily saying, then why is it not in Uganda in respect to what, I think that's what Sarah mentioned earlier. So we're going to come back on board and talk about the few things that have happened in Uganda over the last few weeks. And we're going to have them, take your take on whatever has been happening. So we do have Jemo Jekasengo saying, comparing Uganda to US is like comparing apples to oranges. We also have Brian Kazi was saying, all of you, this guy is losing it, which I apologize again. We're not responsible for anyone's opinion, but we do want to hear them out for everything that they're talking about. We do have Rin Praise is saying, he's comparing Uganda to US, but he's attached at the same time refusing to compare Uganda to Rwanda. And Kalunji J is saying, come on, don't equate the standards of cars in Uganda and America. Different patents, and almost all cars in the US are manufactured or assembled within the US. Do you know how hard it is to import a car in US, even if you're ordering them from the manufacturer? And DJ Kasenga is saying, here in Boston, we have the most potholes on our roads, but you guys don't talk about that. So we appreciate you guys who are tuning in. Please share the page. Invite someone to watch with you so you guys can continue sharing it out in this conversation. Again, we do have a few minutes left, but we want to talk about, like in the next few minutes that we have, we want to talk about what happened in Uganda over the last week. And, you guys have had a chance of reading what's happening. You guys have talked to people on ground. You have your own take and you have your own take. I want to hear from you guys. We did receive word that the government knew of the shortcomings of this boat that killed a lot of people. That ended up capsizing in Lake Victoria, and there was rumors that the government knew, yet they let this pass. There was no inspection done on this boat. Money was paid, money moved hands. That's why they allowed it to continue. What is your take on the matter? I'm going to start with you, Hillary, because you have a few friends. Maybe you have a few friends who are there.
If you could just allow me, for the sake of people viewing us, allow me to just address a few things of what we were speaking about with Tony.
Yeah. Okay.
It is, for the sake of the people watching us, it is so disheartening when an NRM supporter sits here and talks about the bridge. Right now, if you see the pictures have been shared on social media of how the first layer
is already peeling away.
The first layer has already pulled away. This is a bridge that is not even 2 months old, but we've already lost the first layer. In a very short period of time, you're going to have a bridge that is either getting cracks and falling in. Why are we losing the first layer of the bridge in the first
few months? Not even
few months. The first 1 month of the bridge being commissioned. The first layer is gone. Are we having cars? Are we having tractors driving on this road? Our cars, the tires, what are the tires made of that are just sweeping away the layer? And if you talk about that, I don't know, maybe he hasn't seen that for him to talk about that as an achievement. We go to Namugongo Shrine. I almost jumped out of my own skin when he talked about the Namugongo Church as an achievement of the NRM. That church has been built by the Catholics who pray from that church. Catholics who believe in the Catholic faith all over the world have put money to build that church. That church has nothing to do with the NRM achievement. For people to sit here and start having pride and talking about things that have been done by individuals as government achievements, it's so disheartening. For a gentleman who supports NRM to start talking about, where we are moving to a computerized world, where now all the kids are going, everyone is on WhatsApp and Facebook. How many Ugandans? You have about 2 million Ugandans that use the internet out of the 40 million Ugandans. So what about the child in Nakapiripiti who doesn't even know
what a phone is?
What a phone is? What is internet? And then you talk about the achievement. What happened to UPE? You have the worst products coming out of UPE. They cannot read. A child gets to primary 7, but they cannot even read. Their handwriting is terrible. They cannot even read. So it is so disheartening. And sometimes I don't want even to share a panel with people who come here and are mocking Ugandans.
And I do want to caution not caution, but I do apologize for the product that we're putting out there. We do want anyone, if you have a chance to come and represent any first, like any party that you're going to represent, or if you're representing FDC or NRM, we do want you to actually do your homework, because I'm seeing people who are very intelligent. They do their homework. They're on the phone, or they're at least looking up this information second by second, so I can definitely stand by you guys.
Yeah, but you shouldn't apologize. That's what you have in NRM. It is so. You shouldn't even take an apology on that. They cannot defend anything. So everyone who comes up to speak, look at even in Uganda, when you hear Ofono Opondo speak, when you hear Tumwebaze speak, you're like, where are they coming from? So that's what you have in NRM. As much as those who seem to be intelligent, when they speak, you want to run away and hide. What do you expect of Tony? Everything he says, he cannot even give you one achievement. He's telling you, we have health centers, but women are dying from these health centers he's talking about. The only place people used to run to, that is Mulago, it is now privatized. Mulago is no longer public. Mulago was sold off already. Because when you look at consultation fees and the charges they charge to give birth or to get medication from Mulago, that's not a government hospital anymore. Someone refurbished Mulago and is making money out of it. So for someone to sit here, but I don't blame him. Anyone I would sit with on a panel from NRM, I don't expect them to say anything better than he has said.
All right. So
maybe just to add on briefly to what
before
Sarah said, then
to
I go to the other question of the boat cruise. As Sarah has told you, our comrade Tony was totally disconnected from the facts. And you could see that the hospitals he was talking about, all these hospitals, the regional referral hospitals, were built by either the government of Obote or the government of Idi Amin. So if you go to our country and try to look for a regional referral hospital that was built by the government of Mr. Museveni, I'm sure beyond doubt you won't get more than 2 or 3. And then he makes like lots of issues because he was trying to divert us from one issue to another. So you talk about this issue, then it drags it to another issue, just mixing apples and oranges. But that's how NRM cadres do, because they can't defend, the achievements, the so-called achievements that this government has done. Yet for us as Ugandans, we say that in the time frame we've given them for 32 years, you can't say that you can provide us, you can give us these achievements we're talking about. So that's why we are always coming out to open the mindsets of Ugandans, create more awareness about the need for a fundamental change in our country. Because once we keep silent like this, then a lot of ignorance is going to enable many Ugandans to keep voting for this failed regime of Mr. Museveni. So we are saying enough is enough to this tyrant of 32 years in office. So we want a fundamental change, and we want a young leader who is of our generation. Because as I told you some time back, that each generation has its own leader. So in our generation, we want a leader who clearly understands the challenges of our generation. Because in today's Uganda, Mr. Museveni is not our generation. His generation passed, so he can't understand the challenges or problems of today's generation. So he's thinking of the past, 19th or 20th century. But we want leaders who can bring us, solutions to the problems we are facing today. So, but back to the point of the boat cruise, it was, so sad. It was a gloomy weekend losing our brothers and sisters. I mean, the past weekend, because from that event we went to the Wasika, and again you saw that
We
in that
saw an accident.
Larry, where people had gone to have fun, still the car had to knock down like 3 people, I think, about 3 people.
5, there were 5.
5 who died on spot. So the weekend was a black weekend, and I think it is giving us, lessons to pick from that tragedy. And I think also, because I've had lots of conspiracy theories about this tragedy. So sometimes people are blaming, it's just like a blame game here and there, who's responsible? But again, at the end of the day, the final person to be responsible is the government. Because it's upon the government, under our constitution of 1995, that it has to protect the lives of Ugandans and their properties. So if the government didn't take, preventative precautions to ensure that Ugandans are safe, who are using this boat cruise to have fun, and majority of them, are dead, and most of them, we don't know where their bodies are. So if they were maybe around Mukono, you could find that their bodies are now transferring. They will be found in Jinja in the next couple of days. It's so sad because you see that we lost a majority of young people. Of all those who lost their lives. And this is the age bracket that is so productive to our economic growth and development. So I think it's affecting our nation in terms of development, because look at, again, the other fact that these were the bourgeoisie people. They were from the middle class. So they were contributing a lot to our economic growth and development. So losing such imperative age bracket is a big loss to our nation, and I think all the stakeholders who are concerned in this incident have to be accountable because they failed, because we have to blame from the police, because it's allegedly said that a policeman had stopped the boat owner from using this boat on our lake. But again, they overpowered the police, and we don't know what was the aftermath. Did the police follow up? Did they report it? Did they? Because if Museveni says that we have security, then because time and again you've had fishmongers, complaining about how the army is torturing them on the water bodies, because the army confiscates their boats and their fish. Then the fishmongers have been dying on this lake, and we've been giving them a deaf ear, because these things have been happening time and again. We had lots of accidents on our lake. And again, this government was not coming out to do the necessary measures to ensure that all Ugandans are protected. In this incident, we see that this government that is failed of Mr. Museveni, it has what we call a selective law enforcement. Where the government says that we have no benefit, they won't put much law enforcement. But again, when it comes to issues like these Kampala traders who are on streets, you see the level of law enforcement that KCCA is exerting a lot of pressure on these our mothers and sisters who are selling, or brothers who are selling maybe airtime or petty merchandise on the streets. But again, they can't provide enough security to our fishmongers who are on our water bodies. Because some years ago, fish was one of our greatest exports. It was among the greatest exports of our country. But again, because this government has failed to strike very great trade deals with our neighbors, say like Kenya, or with our continent, the African continent, or with the other remaining countries like Europe, you've seen that the rate of fish has gone down because the government has no bargaining power. If you look at our trade deficit with Kenya and Tanzania, we are poorly performing in the region, simply because this government has no people who can bring up very good trade deals that can help us to balance off our trade deficits. And this issue of the boat cruise, I would like to say that Ugandans showed the patriotism that has never been showed before, because this was the darkest, I think, week in the history of our country when it comes to the issues of all our surrounding water bodies. And the government has failed to learn lessons from the past events. Because just like 2 months ago, we had an accident on our neighboring country, Tanzania, on the same lake, Lake Victoria. But the government didn't pick lessons from that. We've had lots of incidents or accidents with this MR, how is it called, this Kalangala ferry. But the government is not learning. I don't know what's wrong with this government of Mr. Museveni. I think they've run out of ideas, they've run out of solutions to our problems, and we should just rise up as Ugandans and get someone who's ready to take our country forward, because the more we procrastinate with this government of Mr. Museveni, the more we are sitting on a time bomb as Ugandans. And I want to tell all Ugandans who are watching and all who watch maybe after this show is done that we are the ones who have the codes to this time bomb. We can end it very soon because we have the power. As you look at the preamble of our constitution, the first 5 words, they read, "We the people of Uganda." So the constitution gives us the power. So once we know our power, as Bobby Wine has been saying and his comrades of People Power or other political parties, that let's get to this point of reclaiming back our power. Then once we get that, then we can easily bring a fundamental change that is going to try to forge solutions to the challenges that we're facing in our country today. Once we fail to bring a fundamental change, Ugandans trust me that we are going to cry for the rest of our lives, because as young people today, as a country that has the second youngest population in the world, we are worried. Our comrade Tony was telling us that the government has provided employment opportunities, but again, look at the rate of unemployment in our country. It's at about
so high.
6 or 7%. So it's very worrying. And this issue of the boat, again, look at, we have no, equipments. You can't tell me it took us 7 days, a week, just to retrieve that wreckage. It's too absurd. You can't say that you're going to rely on the resources of Brian White to bring ropes and try to pull out to retrieve a wreckage from the lake.
Sure.
This was a shame to our country, and I think this government has to sit down and try to lay strategies on how to prioritize funds. Because if the water bodies are bringing us lots of incomes to our GDP, and again you're putting less in to ensure that we feed the fish, to ensure that also we provide enough security to the fishmongers, then it's so worrying. But it's so absurd, and I send my condolences to all the families who lost their dear ones. We stand, with you in these hard times, and we pray that you become stronger and stronger, because as we Ugandans, we have to, learn lessons from this. And I also call upon Ugandans, if you are to use any water body, I, encourage us to, take this initiative of using the life jackets, because it can save your life. Very many lives would be saved if they had life jackets.
All right, so I'm going to ask. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Okay.
You have had the conspiracy theories. There have been so many that last week someone was paid off, someone was this is happening, the boat shouldn't have been there. I've just had a few moments ago, someone told me that there were some people who are more important, or they paid off, they managed to get off the boat, like a boat came to pick them up earlier before this actual boat managed to capsize. So I've had so many theories. What's your take on the matter? What do you think must have happened? What do you think? Do you think any of these conspiracy theories hold any water? Sorry to use that analogy, but do you think they're true? And how are we moving forward from what just happened the last few days?
You see, again, the problem is so many people who have the answers are quiet, because there are so many respectable people in society that were on that boat, and they've chosen to keep quiet for reasons maybe either they're protecting their families, or their families didn't know they were going to be there. But on the boat issue, I'm looking at two people. First, I'm going to blame the people who were on the boat. the boat was in a very sorry state for any person, even a blind person, to get onto that boat. I don't know, because they say the boat came in at about 4:30, that's when they got onto the boat. Me looking at just the pictures of that boat, because people were snapping and I was watching on Snapchat, and the first thing I say when I told someone, I'm like, are these guys seriously on a fishing boat? Because that's a fishing boat.
Yep.
I have seen, there's MV, there's Earthwise. Earthwise is a very good boat. I've been on Earthwise on Lake Victoria. I didn't know why they didn't go for Earthwise. And you have people like, you have the Prince, you have people like, I've been told Hope Mukasa was on that boat. You have a number of people you would expect to think about their life before they do even certain things. Mm-hmm. I do not know. Earthwise is a very good boat, but this was clearly a fishing boat. Someone tried to remodel to make it look like a boat people can use for cruises. And as human beings, we should use our first judgment. I've had people say, it was their day to die. But do you walk in the streets, in the middle of the streets because, cars are coming? Are you going to walk in the middle of the streets because cars are coming, because it could be your day? Mm. Why do we try every time to avoid death? But people here, it looks like they had signed off their lives even before they got into the boat. The boat was completely not enough. For me, I was watching, before even they got into an accident, I was watching snaps of the people who were snapping on the boat. And I'm like, why are they in a fishing boat? That's the first question that came up.
Sure.
And then later we hear stories that the police tried to stop them because the boat was not in a right state. And the owners overpowered the police. What does it take to? Either he was paid some money. But when you have a very corrupt government where everyone from top to bottom is corrupt, you have people lose their lives in such a manner because maybe you could find the police officer manning that was paid just 50,000 shillings. And you lose over 30, 15 people because the boat had almost 100 people. Mm. So you lose people just because someone just took away 50,000 shillings. And again, I've looked at the wreckage. When you see the wreckage of the boat that came out, you see it wasn't welded right. If you look at the pictures of the boat.
True. Yeah.
So it was very possible for the water to go in and when you're on a boat cruise, I know what happens. People are drinking, people are stamping, people are dancing. Everything could have happened. But at the same time, we are going to blame people. I'll blame the people who are in the boat. I'm sorry for those who lost their lives. But people need to learn to be more cautious. If you, as much as you want to party, if you get to the boat and it is such in a repudiated state, for starters' case, excuse yourself.
Yeah, people need to be a little bit more careful of their own lives. Yeah.
Of their own lives.
Because it's very stupid. The way people die in Uganda is very, very stupid.
Reckless. Mm. Just imagine we had so many people dying. I'm not going to say their lives are not so important. Just imagine we had lost the prince. What would have been an explanation? Showing where he died from and what happened. It was so reckless. It is okay, people go. I've hired before Bobby Wine's boat and I've been there. And again, I was listening and watching the statements from the guys, the fishermen on Lake Victoria, especially on that area. The fishermen said all the life jackets we're wearing were fake.
Wow.
Yeah. The guy said the original life jacket that can save someone costs about 80,000 shillings. And the fake one go for 25,000 shillings. So the people who were in the boat cruise were wearing jackets that would not save them because for a good jacket, it would make you float. We would have more people coming up because you notice there were bodies that were bringing out in life jackets. And you wonder what happened. If someone was putting on a life jacket, what really happened?
Sure.
So people, and again, who knows which jacket is right? I'll blame government for that. Why are we having the influx of Chinese fake jackets coming onto the market? Because there are so many people who use the water every day. You have MV VP Kalangala. It is moving every day. So if one time, God forbid, something happens to that ship and something terrible happens because it carries cars, it carries over 100 people on every route, and they're wearing fake jackets, what is going to happen? You're going to lose so many people, so many fishermen. I saw yesterday a story of kids who they move on canoes on Lake Victoria to go to school. They have to move across Lake Victoria to go to the school where they study from. no life jacket, nothing. And then what really, I saw pictures of the Kabaka himself. At one time he was on the water, no life jacket. I saw pictures of President and Janet on the water, same Lake Victoria. So what example are they trying to give? Again, as leaders, you must be very cautious and live by example, because if you're the president of the country and you're on Lake Victoria with your wife with no life jacket,
you're being a
what
ninja.
example are you trying to emulate to others? They'll be like, if the president cannot wear your life jacket, who am I to spoil my dress code wearing a jacket when the president went, you know? The Kabaka of Uganda, I saw him not in a jacket. It is very important for our leaders to live by example. It is very important to have people be careful of their lives. The conspiracy theories are so many. There are people who are on that board. There are so many. I've had people say Mehdi Mohammed Inselek was on the board because, you know, how comes he was the first person there going live? So many things are going to be said. And the story from Irene Namobiru, she was talking about my phone and bag. Everyone is questioning if you were drowning, how comes your phone is working? Because there's no phone that is water resistant. And then your phone, you have your bag, then you had your torch. There is so many uncoordinated stories. And I'm gonna beg the survivors. I know they are still in a state of shock.
Sure.
It is better they first get counseling before they begin talking. Because they've said so much, and that's why the conspiracy theories are coming up. For example, when you listen from what Namobiru said from beginning to now, there is a lot of change of stories. This boy saved me, I had my phone was up, and I was drowning, and there's a lot of change of stories. That's why everyone is like, come on, what exactly happened? And don't blame Ugandans. Ugandans need answers. Some of them there's a family that they lost 2 sisters at the same time.
It's not even that. There was a person who was a fishmonger, who
died saving,
who just managed
people
to.
People who lost their loved ones are asking. They need answers. What exactly happened towards the last minute? I saw snaps from a few people. In fact, I saw a video when the boat was beginning to lose balance. Someone captured the video. But the questions we are going to ask the people, the survivors, if you're still in shock, keep quiet. You're making, and Ugandans are good at this, they're never going to keep quiet. They're going to keep talking. Theories are going to keep coming up until when people are going to be frustrated and annoyed, people are going to sue people for choosing them or stuff. But if you're not, first see a therapist. Because I'm even shocked. Because from the state in which she was, I was shocked that next day she would be able to talk. I'm shocked, seriously. If from what she describes, that is true, I'm shocked that next day she had the guts to talk.
That's very true.
I'm telling you, that is very traumatic. You would go through, you know,
seeing a lot of people just dying everywhere around you.
People just dying, and your life is you're at the verge. But then you have a torch, you have your bag, and then you have all these videos. So I'm very sure when they both threw them in the water, all of them went down, but her phone remained working. She must be having a very expensive, unique phone. Every Uganda needs to get, especially when you're going on water. But I'm begging, let them stop talking and speak when they are of clear mind.
That's all the time that we had for this evening. We do have a lot of topics that we haven't had a chance to touch on, but hopefully we'll round them up next week. For everyone who has been tuning in, I want to thank you for everyone who has contributed. Brian Kaziwe, I think it was your birthday a few days ago. Happy birthday. Moses says hello. We have so I'm not sure how they pronounce your name, but you said Irene Nambidu, maybe Gwanga. Her story doesn't add up, just like she was saying. We do have Boris LC saying people are all different. Don't expect all people to be weak. I think there is that in response to what you have been talking about. And all those guys who have been tuning in, if Bobby Wine was on the boat for political reasons, the police and army would be heavily deployed. They don't care about the ordinary Ugandan. All these things, we're going to tackle them next week. Next week on Uganda at Crossroads. We want to thank you for all the time that you guys have spared just to be on the show with us. We do have Love, Sex and Money, the talk show hosted by one of our own, Shakira. So please tune in for in the next few minutes. That will be happening. DJ Kasenge is saying, you talk about the new bridge in Uganda, but you don't talk about our big dig project here in Boston that costed us billions of dollars, and it has been leaking up to now. As I mentioned, DJ Kasenge, this is Uganda Crossroads. We are tackling topics that affect that ordinary Ugandan back home. Again, I've been your host with the mostest, Alex. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Have a lovely day. Bye.